Donald Hebb's groundbreaking work in neuroscience revolutionized our understanding of the human brain. His pioneering research on neuroplasticity and synaptic transmission paved the way for major breakthroughs in psychology and education. Get ready to uncover the fascinating story of a man who changed the face of psychology forever. As we delve into the life of Donald Hebb, it's fascinating to explore how his early experiences shaped his future contributions to neuroscience and psychology. Born on July 22, 1904, in Chester, Nova Scotia, Canada, Hebb grew up in a family that valued education and encouraged his curiosity. His father, a physician, and his mother, a teacher, instilled in him a strong foundation for learning and a passion for understanding human behavior. Hebb's childhood was marked by a mix of intellectual exploration and outdoor adventures, which would later influence his holistic approach to understanding the brain. He spent much of his youth exploring the Canadian wilderness, developing a deep appreciation for the natural world and the intricate relationships within ecosystems. This early exposure to the complexities of nature may have laid the groundwork for his later work on the interconnectedness of neural networks. As Hebb navigated his educational journey, he was drawn to the fields of psychology and philosophy, eventually enrolling in the University of New Brunswick. It was during this period that he became fascinated with the works of William James, whose ideas on consciousness and the stream of thought resonated deeply with Hebb. This initial exposure to James's theories would later influence Hebb's own research on neuroplasticity and the dynamic nature of brain function. Hebb's graduate studies at McGill University brought him under the mentorship of Boris Babkin, a renowned physiologist who encouraged Hebb's exploration of the neural basis of behavior. This guidance played a significant role in shaping Hebb's research focus as he began to investigate the relationships between neurons and their role in learning and memory. His work during this period laid the foundation for his famous theory, neurons that fire together, wire together, which would become a cornerstone of modern neuroscience. As Hebb's career progressed, he found himself at the forefront of a revolution in neuroscience, collaborating with contemporaries like Carl Lashley and Wilder Penfield. These relationships not only influenced his research, but also positioned him within a broader historical context as he contributed to the development of new theories and challenged existing ones. The dynamic interplay between Hebb's work and that of his peers would ultimately pave the way for significant advancements in our understanding of brain function and behavior. Hebb's most notable contribution, his theory of synaptic plasticity, proposed that the connections between neurons are strengthened or weakened based on their coincident activity. This idea, captured in his seminal work, The Organization of Behavior, introduced a new paradigm for understanding how the brain adapts and changes throughout life. By exploring the mechanisms underlying neural plasticity, Hebb's research opened doors to novel approaches in psychology, education, and neuroscience, emphasizing the brain's capacity for reorganization and growth. One of the most compelling aspects of Hebb's work is its accessibility and applicability to everyday life. His theories on neural plasticity have far-reaching implications for learning and memory, suggesting that our brains are highly adaptable and capable of reorganizing themselves in response to new experiences. This idea has inspired new approaches to education and cognitive training, highlighting the potential for lifelong learning and brain development. Through his research and writings, Hebb also underscored the importance of environmental factors in shaping brain development and function. His work emphasized that the brain is not a fixed entity, but rather a dynamic system that is influenced by a complex interplay of genetic, environmental, and social factors. This perspective has significant implications for our understanding of human behavior and mental health, highlighting the need for a holistic approach that considers the intricate relationships between biological, psychological, and social factors. Hebb's emphasis on the role of environment in shaping brain function also led him to explore the consequences of sensory deprivation on cognitive development. His research in this area, although controversial at times due to the ethical implications of his experiments, contributed significantly to our understanding of how environmental stimuli influence neural development and plasticity. By examining the effects of sensory deprivation, Hebb's work highlighted the critical importance of early life experiences in shaping the brain's structure and function. As Hebb's work on neuroplasticity gained prominence, he began to explore its implications for education and learning. His theory suggested that the brain is highly adaptable and that new experiences can shape the connections between neurons. This idea has far-reaching consequences for how we approach teaching and learning, emphasizing the importance of hands-on experience and active engagement. One notable example of Hebb's work in this area is his collaboration with psychologist Brenda Milner on a study of patients with temporal lobe epilepsy. The researchers used a technique called electroencephalography (EEG) to map the brain activity of these patients who had undergone surgical removal of parts of their temporal lobes. The results showed that the brain's ability to reorganize itself in response to injury was more extensive than previously thought, with areas of the brain taking over functions that were lost due to damage. Hebb's work on neuroplasticity also led him to explore the role of environment in shaping brain development and function. He conducted a series of experiments on rats, raising them in environments with varying levels of sensory stimulation. The results showed that rats raised in enriched environments with plenty of toys and social interaction had thicker cerebral cortices and performed better on cognitive tasks than those raised in impoverished environments. This research highlighted the critical importance of early life experiences in shaping the brain's structure and function. Hebb's emphasis on the role of environment in shaping brain function also led to some controversy, particularly with regards to his experiments on sensory deprivation. In one notable study, Hebb and his colleagues raised a group of rats in complete darkness without any visual stimulation. The results showed that these rats had significant impairments in their visual abilities, even after being exposed to light later in life. While this research provided valuable insights into the effects of sensory deprivation on brain development, it also raised concerns about the ethics of such experiments. Despite these controversies, Hebb's work on neuroplasticity has had a lasting impact on our understanding of brain function and behavior. His theory has been widely influential, shaping fields from education to neuroscience. Hebb's relationships with his contemporaries also played a significant role in shaping his ideas and contributions. His collaborations with researchers like Carl Ashley and Wilder Penfield helped to establish him as a leading figure in the field of neuroscience. He was also influenced by the work of other prominent psychologists, such as Edward Tolman and Clark Hull, who were exploring the role of environment and learning in shaping behavior. As Hebb delved deeper into the mysteries of neuroplasticity, his work began to intersect with that of other prominent researchers in the field. One notable collaboration was with psychologist Roger Sperry, who had been conducting experiments on the split brain phenomenon. Sperry's work involved separating the two hemispheres of the brain in patients with severe epilepsy, and then studying how each hemisphere functioned independently. Hebb was fascinated by Sperry's findings, which suggested that the two hemispheres of the brain could operate with a significant degree of autonomy. Hebb saw parallels between Sperry's work and his own research on sensory deprivation. He hypothesized that the brain's ability to reorganize itself in response to injury or sensory deprivation might be related to the way the two hemispheres of the brain communicate with each other. To explore this idea, Hebb conducted a series of experiments using EEG to study the brain activity of patients who had undergone split brain surgery. One notable case study involved a patient known as WJ, who had undergone a corpus callosotomy, a surgical procedure that separates the two hemispheres of the brain. Hebb and his colleagues used EEG to map WJ's brain activity while he performed various cognitive tasks, such as solving puzzles and recognizing objects. The results showed that WJ's brain was able to adapt and compensate for the loss of interhemispheric communication, with each hemisphere developing its own unique patterns of activity. Hebb's work with Sperry and other researchers helped to shed light on the complex relationships between different parts of the brain. It also highlighted the remarkable flexibility and adaptability of the human brain, which is able to reorganize itself in response to a wide range of challenges and experiences. As Hebb himself noted, The brain is not a fixed entity, but a dynamic system that is constantly changing and adapting throughout our lives. Despite the many advances made by Hebb and his colleagues, their work was not without controversy. Some critics argued that Hebb's experiments on sensory deprivation were too extreme and that they raised important ethical questions about the treatment of research subjects. Others criticized Hebb's theoretical framework, arguing that it was too broad or too narrow to fully capture the complexities of human behavior. Hebb himself was aware of these criticisms, and he responded to them in a characteristically thoughtful and nuanced way. In a series of lectures and papers, he acknowledged the limitations of his approach and emphasized the need for ongoing research and debate. He also stressed the importance of considering the social and cultural context in which behavior occurs, arguing that the brain is not just a biological organ, but a social and cultural one as well. He argued that the brain's ability to adapt and change throughout life meant that people of all ages could learn and develop new skills, given the right opportunities and support. This idea challenged traditional notions of intelligence and ability, which often emphasized the role of genetics and early childhood experience. As he so eloquently put it, neurons that fire together, wire together, a phrase that not only encapsulates his groundbreaking theory of synaptic plasticity, but also serves as a powerful metaphor for the enduring legacy of his work. And so, as we move forward, may we continue to be inspired by Hebb's vision of a brain that is constantly changing, adapting, and evolving, and may we strive to create a world that nurtures and supports the full realization of human potential. That's all for today's Psych with Sigmund. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, may your ego find balance between pleasure and reality.